George, get on here in 3 minutes!
What?
And that concludes our sports update. Now here's our weatherman, John.
Alright, let's get started. So let's begin with talking about the climate of Mawsynram, India. So it's going to be extremely, extremely rainy, okay? So like, it's the rainiest place on Earth. So, you know, you wouldn't want to be sent to the ER because of the extreme rain. Ha! Alright. So we're going to talk about cells. Hadley, Ferrel, and polar cells. I have a wonderful... Here, wait one sec. I have a wonderful drawing here of the Earth, right? So basically, it's so how these cells work between the equator and 30 degrees south and 30 degrees north. It's convective circulation. Ferrel cells are between 30 and 60 degrees, while polar cells are between 60 and the poles. So Mawsynram, India, where we are located, is in the Hadley cell. So let's talk about the Coriolis effect. Basically, it's the deflection of the north and south winds to an east and west direction, and it's caused by the faster spin of regions near the equator. So the Earth is moving faster near the equator. The effect of the sun, earth, and atmosphere on global climate. So basically, the sun strikes some areas more directly than others, so they're obviously hotter in those areas, and it heats air in the atmosphere to help create the seasons. The oceans, they absorb solar energy and evaporate water, causing warmer air near Earth. And lastly, the atmosphere. Weather specifies atmospheric conditions over a short period of time. And that was all just to give you an understanding on how weather works and, you know, how we get all this information from. And so, yeah, your daily nugget of weather. That's pretty neat. And now let's get to our 5-day forecast. So on Monday, temperature. It's going to be 56 degrees. Pretty good. Barometer reading, we're going to have 100,000. It's going to be 1,015. 86% humidity, wind 10 miles per hour, and precipitation 2 inches. Remember, rainiest place on Earth. Tuesday, 59 degrees, a little bit warmer. 1,012 for air pressure. So, you know, about the same. It's going to be about the same all week. 89% humidity, so very, very humid. 11 mile per hour winds, and 3 inches of rain. So even more rain than the day before. Wednesday, it's going to be 61 degrees with 1,014 air pressure on the barometer reading. 83% humidity, 15 miles per hour winds, and 1 inch of rain. Then we're going to have, it's going to be 54 degrees on Thursday with 1,014 barometer reading. 79% humidity, 79% humidity, 6 mile per hour wind, so calmest day of the week for wind really, and then 1.5 inches of rain. So I guess if you're talking in terms of this place, not too bad. And lastly on Friday, 66 degrees, 1,013 on the barometer reading, 84% humidity, 12 miles per hour of wind, and 2.5 inches of rain. The weather here is very, very rainy, very humid. It's mostly temperate. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold, so we're going to see a trend throughout of mild to warm temperatures, very, very humid, very, very rainy. You see in Mawsynram here, it's very rainy and cold, and it sure is raining a lot. There's a lot of rain. It's the rainiest place on Earth, and very moist and humid, and yeah, back to the studio. Back in the studio now, and this just in, the Moss and Ran rapping competition will be canceled this year. The annual rapping competition. And I know all those young artists were ready to take the stage, fight for a chance for a better life, and the rain stopped them. And you know, it's just... So yes, in case you didn't hear that, that competition will be canceled. A few more things about the weather this week. We will have a warm front moving up northward. And clouds in our area, mostly nimbostratus clouds, because, you know, it's the rainiest place on Earth. And, you know, we have a low pressure system bringing lots of rain, lots of bad weather, as is very common in Masaram, India. There's a thermal inversion that's keeping in, though limited, there's some just pollution, the smog from the cars that are just driving around. And that thermal inversion above Masaram is just keeping all that pollution in there. So while it's a small amount, it's being held there, so it multiplies rather quickly. And lastly, we have a tornado coming. There's a thunderstorm that's coming up with the warm air from the south and the cold air from the north, and when it meets, it's gonna tornado. And now we'll head to our commercial break. Wait. Oh, okay, now.
Welcome to Big Ely's. Today we have this Subaru with gray hood, gray window wipers, gray front, these amazing headlights, so bright that you might blind the other people, but you know. And then it's Black Friday. You can come get cheap for only $35. Great new tires, extra spares in the back, great rearview mirrors. Come today.
So, you know, as a weatherman, you always see me in my studio setting, but I decided to bring the personal life to you guys, because I think you deserve it. So, you know, here's me just chilling in my house now, and I'm going to talk to you about pollutants. So, basically, there's two kinds of pollutants. There's primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants are pollutants from a direct source, while secondary pollutants are basically the primary pollutants reacting in the atmosphere to create a harmful substance. There's also a thing called criteria pollutants, and Masterman is doing very well, though while there is a little bit of criteria pollutant, there is not much and not nearly enough to make a fret about yet, so yay! What I'm more worried about actually is the industrial smog. The smog is moving from nearby cities, and the wind is pushing it to our direction here in Masanram, so we don't want to have that smog come and then just settle over us. So now I'm going to give you my thoughts on ozone depletion and acid deposition.
So we're here with my coworker Pablo, and we are going to show you a more physical example of how ozone depletion works. So we're going to go to a darker room to have a better way to show it. Imagine this flashlight is the sun, and it has harmful UV rays that come from it. But this paper is the ozone layer, and it protects us from the UV rays. But if that ozone layer is taken away, then the UV rays can be very harmful to us as humans. So now let's talk about acid deposition. Represented on the right side is the air with the harmful chemicals we as humans release. And when these chemicals go into the atmosphere, they mix and react with water and oxygen, So when they come back to the earth as rain, it's acidic rain. And this acidic rain can harm many living things, and it's generally not very good. So I also want to talk today about indoor air pollution, and there's a lot more causes of it than you might actually think at first glance. For example, mold or tobacco smoke, simple house products or pesticides, even materials used in building can be indoor air pollution. So there are a lot more causes than one initially thinks. So just be careful and research it and be aware of what things are causing pollution inside your home. So why do people think the climate is changing? Basically, it's because of CO2 emissions. So the amount of CO2 emissions is higher than it's ever been in history. And obviously because of technological advances and such. But the nature of CO2 is that it traps in heat. So when it gets stuck in the atmosphere because of all of our emissions, it keeps the hot air in. It doesn't let it leave the atmosphere, so that's causing a heating of the entire globe. Some natural causes of climate change could simply be aerosols or volcanic eruptions. Human causes, obviously CO2 emissions, is the main one.